stadiums for a Pro League game. That is when it's crowded. Um, right? The question I have is, what incentive is there for the federations to advertise, right? Um, a lot of times you see a report on the newspaper, 25 coaches, well, we have 25 new swimming coaches, but you never saw the advertisement for a coaching courses coming up. Um, is it that you have to be within the loop, or is it that it's too not financially feasible for them to advertise that a course is coming up or something? Or what is the media doing to educate the federations about the power of advertising their sport?
Well, the advertising departments, if they thought there was the chance of getting, ads, would probably contact them. But I think what you're referring to is the responsibility of agencies, especially agencies that are funded by the state, to ensure that all their programs are known to everyone and that there's a fair chance and equal chance for people to participate by applying. I think that is the onus is on those federations. What they're inclined to do is to send out a press release, and which is a chance, will it get in or not, that there is a course coming up. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but newspapers or TV stations will look for an ad if they think there's money. But the point is that if this is supported by the state, then there should be a responsibility to advertise that so that it's not limited to some circle of people who know. Yes?
Hi, good evening. My name is Alan Crane. I would like to think that I'm a sports photography journalist. My story is I went to school away and came back. There wasn't really any jobs here. I studied sports management. There weren't really any jobs here for me. So I picked up a camera and I was actually
What field were you trained in?
sports management.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I did a couple courses in photography, and I mixed the two together. So decided, we don't have too many sports photographers, not too many people telling the story photo-wise. So I actually invested a good amount of money in some equipment, and Lasana is one of my clients, or I should say friend, really. Lasana has really helped me out, and also Newsday. But I think, well, my question is, one of the difficulties that I have is getting Trinidadians to realize that, hey, it's intellectual property, it's copyright that we're talking about here with regards to photographs, right? Of course, journalism falls under that as well. A writer's time, energy, and mental goes inside of his work. But I find it difficult for the Trinidadian person to understand that, hey, he has to pay for this, for the photograph that I don't want to bold-facedly say created, but nonetheless, that is the case. So one idea that I had in my head was, if it is now time to have a single dominant sports-specific media house, because people, when they think about sports, they may go directly to ESPN before they go to the New York Times. For example, the New York Times comes like our Guardian or our Express or Newsday, because they are in the news business, reporting what's happening from New York to Australia, everywhere in between. But if it is that somebody specifically wants sports, and that's the majority of us in here, you will go to a sports media house. And in Trinidad, as far as I know, we don't have any dominant controlling sports media entity. We have Wire doing a pretty good job, but we have all these other little ones. I don't want to call any other names, to insult anybody. But really and truly, it's so mixed up that even on my Facebook page, when I'm trying to find out what's the next sport to shoot, what's the next sport to capture, I myself, I don't get schedules to me like that. God bless Newsday, but they don't do the greatest job either informing me of every sport coming up. So I might go on Facebook looking to see all these other liked pages that I have that might have 300 likes on it. One has 50 likes, and they give a little bit of information, a little bit of that, but there is no information of what sport is happening, when and where, and then the stories following it. Doesn't have photos, We talked about proper journalists, the stories behind it are not stories, they're just reporting, So I would like to know if that is something that, I guess, the higher educated people are thinking about having a quality sporting media house specifically. You know, I think that should be an idea.
Well, that's what Sportsmax at the upper end has tried to do. And that is what, at the other end, Lasana is manfully trying to do. So I believe, we want to address that?
Well, in terms of Harvard, well, I think all the newspapers, have tried to do, let's say, sport magazines and so on from time to time with varying degrees of success. I would say little success at all, I don't think there's just that much of an appetite for it now. I know there's Wii Sports as well, right? They have one or two, right, television and so on. I think it's something, again, we need to better educate people about the importance of sport and let them understand that it's not just kids running around in the recreational time and so on, and maybe the message would get through, right? I think right now in the print there's competition, which helps with the different sport desks. I think again it would probably be a risk if we were to have just one massive sport company, because then who would you go to if you have something that a particular this particular company isn't interested in doing or whatever it is, yeah, we do need to cover sport better, but I don't think we're quite ready yet. I think it will come when there's more appetite for sport news, personally.
Let me just add briefly that there have been several efforts over the last 20 years or so to produce sporting magazines on their own here in Trinidad and Tobago, several locations. None of them lasted more than 6 months. It was always a commercial problem. All of these things are driven by the almighty dollar, and as long as there is no advertising, you don't have a magazine. I remember the Guardian in particular had a pullout, a 24-page pullout called the Arena, which was very successful in my opinion. And then out of the blues, somebody came to me and said to me, as of next week, there will be no Arena. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, the advertising dollars isn't coming in. And that was the end of the Arena. And that was a really sad moment for me, because I thought, in the best interest of sports journalism, that particular supplement was holding its own.
Okay, and I remember the same thing happened to the Express Sports magazine, but the question has always been about the capacity of these daily newspapers to market weekly products. But I want to return to your point, your question. I think the question is, you're asking that as an entrepreneur, and I think you should hold on to that idea and pursue it, because the potential for outsourced work, media houses are going through, this is a period of tremendous transformation. And they're not showing much capacity for transformation, which means one day they will have to do dramatic things. And if you develop your capabilities as someone who can be trusted, whether you have your photos, you can have accurate stuff, you can write, and you can develop relationships within the community of sports people and the media, not just here, but wherever. You might be in that position for someone who wants a particular photo. Now, you will have to be shrewd, I think, and identify, just how, in the same way that agents go around and spot talent, you will have to go and find those people who you think are good people to create those relationships with. Imagine if you were the one person Kishore Walcott trusted, and when he got that gold, you were the one person who had his story, and you were immediately able to write a lot more than those guys who had not been taking him on, in a daily media and so on, were not taking him on too much. You've been the one person that the international media would come to for the pictures of him at, 9 and 12 and whatever. So I think you're onto something, and I think you have an idea there. These magazines that they refer to are print magazines, and they've collapsed. Underinvestment is the problem. And you can put together some high-quality people as a team, but you're going to have the investment because there's a period of time that is going to have to, it will need to survive. But I think the outsourcing of content and the supply and the ability to transform content for many different purposes, but retaining the integrity of it is, where a future can lie for you.
Can I make one more point, Swinty? It's very difficult to run something like that, by the way, within an organization. Yeah, sorry. It's very difficult to run something like that within the organization because the problem is all the different departments use the same advertising team. And the salesman who is getting whatever commission he might for the ads that are already going to page 3 and page 4, for instance, is just not going to put the same work into getting an ad for what you're doing when it's something that's new and less certain. Sometimes it might be a matter of ad rates, for instance. If the ad rates are bigger on the front end of the paper than they are in the back end, then you are going to be what he looks at last. And that, to me, will always be a problem with a sport magazine, so done in-house by a paper, because you're fighting against the resources of your paper. And I think that's a reason why, as well, the online efforts by the mainstream media are always, I wouldn't say, doomed to fail, but they're up against their own company, really, because, if the guy who's selling and the ad for the regular paper, for instance, is $4,000, sorry, and he's getting a 8% cut of that, and the online ad is $1,200 over a month. He's not going to sell the online ad, he's going to sell what's going to make him money now. So a lot of times when you have ideas that are a bit outside of the box there, unfortunately, do not expect much help from the established organization because it simply runs against what they're doing and the future as they see it.
Okay.
Yeah, here I am. Hello? Yeah. Good afternoon. John Singer, Associate Professor at Texas A&M University. Conversations I have with my colleagues, sports scholars, particularly those in sociology who study qualitative ethnographic research, we always talk about what's the difference between what we do in sports scholarship and what you do in sport media. So the question I have for the panel is, what do you think the nature of the relationship between sports scholars, sport academics, and the sport media should be, perhaps in helping to move the field of sport journalism and sport media forward?